Welcome back to the Sharing English podcast, where we explore stories from the English-speaking world, spoken slowly and clearly for curious English learners like you. Let's get started. I'm your host, Freya, and today we're diving into one of the biggest reasons why English is spoken all around the world, the British Empire. We'll look at how the empire spread the English language across continents, how that colonial history led to today's Commonwealth, and how English continues to evolve in different countries. It's a big story that will take more than one episode to fully discuss. It's a story about a complicated history, cultural influence, and a lasting global legacy. Now let's take a quick look at the British Empire. At its height in the early 20th century, the British Empire was the largest empire in history. You may have heard the phrase, "The sun never sets on the British Empire." That was literally true. Britain had colonies on every continent. The empire began in the late 1500s and expanded for centuries. Some of the most well-known former colonies include India, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and the United States before its independence. In each of these places, British settlers, officials, and educators brought the English language with them. The spread of English didn't just happen naturally. It was often part of colonial rule. Schools taught in English. Laws and government business were done in English. Trade and business relied on English. In many places, local languages were discouraged or even banned. That's why today, English is an official or second language in many countries that were once under British rule. And even in countries that were never part of the empire, English is often seen as the global language of business, science, and travel. After World War II, many countries fought for and gained independence from Britain. But even after independence, many of them remained part of a new group called the Commonwealth of Nations, or simply the Commonwealth. Today, the Commonwealth includes 56 countries, from big nations like India and Canada to smaller ones like Malta and Fiji. Most of these countries still have deep cultural, political, or economic ties to the UK. English often remains a common language for communication between people who speak different local languages. Some members, like Australia and New Zealand, still recognize the British monarch as their symbolic head of state. Others, like India, do not, but they still remain in the Commonwealth. Even though English was introduced through colonization, many countries have made the language their own. For example, Indian English includes phrases like prepone, which is the opposite of postpone, so bringing something forward or earlier. Or kindly revert, which means please reply, but be careful using this phrase because revert actually means to go back to an earlier state, so it's an interesting usage of the word. Nigerian English blends local idioms and rhythms into its speech patterns. Australian and New Zealand English have unique slang, accents, and spelling differences. Caribbean English dialects like Jamaican Patois, also known as Jamaican Creole, developed as a mix of English and African languages. These forms of English show how the language is constantly evolving and influenced by the cultures where it's spoken. So why does this history matter? It's important to understand that the spread of English isn't just a language story. It's also a story of power, colonization, and cultural change. In many countries, English was connected to loss. Loss of land, loss of language, and loss of identity. But over time, people have also reshaped English and used it for their own creativity, connection, and expression. Today, English can be a bridge language between different cultures. It's used in international business, education, science, and entertainment. But it's also a reminder of the complex history that brought it to so many corners of the world. So next time you hear someone speak English with a different accent or unique local phrase, remember, it might come from a faraway place with its own deep story of history, resistance, and adaptation. And I'm curious, have you ever heard a version of English that surprised you? Or maybe you speak a local variety of English yourself. I'd love to hear what it's like where you are. Thank you for listening to the Sharing English podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a rating or review, and share the podcast with a friend who's also learning English. You can find out more about me and the podcast at our website, www.sharing-english.com. New episodes of the Sharing English podcast are available weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, let me know, what topics are you interested in hearing more about? Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep sharing English.